Water pollution. What is water pollution? Water pollution is the contamination of water bodies that very often are caused by human activities. It occurs when pollutants are discharged directly or indirectly into water bodies without enough treatment to get rid of harmful compounds. Pollutants that get into water, mainly by human causes or factors. Water pollution is the second most imperative environmental concern, along with air pollution. Any change or modification in the physical, chemical, and biological properties of water that will have a detrimental consequence on living things is water pollution. Sources of water pollution. There are various classifications of water pollution. The two chief sources of water pollution can be seen as point and non-point. Point source pollution refers to the pollutants that belong to a single source. An example of this would be emissions from factories into the water. Non-point source pollution, on the other hand, means pollutants emitted from multiple sources. Contaminated water after rains that has traveled through several regions may also be considered as a non-point source pollution. Examples of point source pollution: discharges from a sewage plant, a city storm drain, and smokestacks. Examples of non-point source pollution: oil droplets, garbage, and dog waste. Types of water pollution. There are many types of water pollution because water comes from many sources. Here are a few types of water pollution. Nutrients pollution. Some wastewater, fertilizers, and sewage contain high levels of nutrients. If they end up in water bodies, they encourage algae and weed growth in the water. This will make the water undrinkable and even clog filters. Too much algae will also use up all the oxygen in the water, and other water organisms in the water will die out of oxygen starvation. Surface water pollution. Surface water includes natural water found on the Earth's surface, like rivers, lakes, lagoons, and oceans. Hazardous substances coming into contact with this surface water, dissolving or mixing physically with the water, can be called surface water pollution. Oxygen depletion pollution. Water bodies have microorganisms. These include aerobic and anaerobic organisms. When too much biodegradable matter ends up in water, it encourages more microorganisms' growth, and they use up more oxygen in the water. If oxygen is depleted, aerobic organisms die, and anaerobic organisms grow more to produce harmful toxins such as ammonia and sulfides. Groundwater pollution. Groundwater pollution is when humans apply pesticides and chemicals to soils that are then washed deep into the ground by rainwater. This gets to underground water, causing pollution underground, which then causes pollution in the rest of the water bodies. Causes of water pollution: industrial waste, sewage, mining, and marine dumping. Industrial waste is from industries causing huge water pollution with their activities. Industries cause huge water pollutions from using a lot of sulfur, which is a non-metallic substance that is harmful for marine life, and also from causing oil pollution, which oil pollution is routine shipping, runoffs, and dumping of oils on the ocean surfaces that happen every day. Oil spills cause major problems and can be extremely harmful to local marine wildlife such as fish, birds, and sea otters, and other aquatic life. Because oil does not dissolve, it stays on the water surface and suffocates fish. Oil also gets caught in the feathers of seabirds, making it difficult for them to fly, and some animals die as a result. Sewage. Sewage is a term used for wastewater that often contains feces, urine, and laundry waste. The sewage and wastewater that is produced by each household is chemically treated and released into sea with fresh water. The sewage water carries harmful bacteria and chemicals that can cause serious health problems. Mining activities. Mining is the process of crushing the rock and extracting coal from other minerals underground. These elements, when extracted in the raw form, contains harmful chemicals and can increase the amount of toxic elements when mixed up with water, which may result in health problems. Ocean and marine dumping. Think of the rubbish that we make every day: paper waste, food waste, plastic, rubber, metallic, and aluminum waste. In some countries, all of these waste gets dumped into the sea because they don't want to put it in a garbage patch, or they don't want to throw it away. All of this waste then ends up circulating around the ocean and can create things like the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Effects of water pollution. Effects are varied depending on what chemicals are dumped and in which locations. For example, a big city would have more pollution than a small city. Many water bodies near urban areas are highly polluted. This is a result of both garbage dumped by individuals and dangerous chemicals legally or illegally dumped by manufacturing industries, health centers, schools, and marketplaces. Effects on humans. The biggest effect on humans is that they can get diseases, which is caused by drinking contaminated water, swimming in polluted water, and physical contact with chemically polluted water. And we see this a lot in very poor countries because they don't have the money to have good quality water. Effects on animals. Over 200 turtles in Australia's waters die each year from being suffocated by garbage and oil. Birds and mammals become coated with oil, which causes them to not be able to fly, which then causes them to not be able to access food, which will then result in them dying. And over 1 million seabirds and 100,000 sea mammals are killed by water pollution each year in various forms of water pollution. Not only is there issues with mammals and seabirds being killed by water pollution, but there's also a disruption of food chains. When pollution gets into small animals, it then transfers up to the larger animals, and then it ends up transferring to us humans, and that is causing a lot of health issues in all of us organisms because we are all consuming the pollution from one source of the food chain. What can you do? You can start by not just throwing away your trash, but using the correct bins, and instead of throwing away things, you can try to rebuild products from recycled materials. For example, you can take a water bottle and you can reuse that to make it to make a squirt bottle for your hair. You can reuse old toothbrushes and you can create them into silverware in some form or another, or you can upcycle clothing and go to a thrift store and reuse clothes instead of buying brand new clothes and tossing out your old ones. And you can also just thrift your clothes and then allow somebody else to use them. You can also follow a don't blush list, which is basically a list that tells you of what not to throw away. For example, don't throw away cigarettes, don't throw away cotton swabs, diapers, medication, paper towels, wipes, tampons. You should only be flushing things like toilet paper, which is dissolvable in the water. If you are going to be a farmer and you want to plant crops, fertilize correctly. Fertilize with organic fertilizer like animal manure because that stuff can be biodegradable and can break down a lot easier and doesn't have as many chemicals that end up in the ocean. Participate in garbage cleanups. This is a great way to help clean up because this is another great way to help with water pollution because there's so much garbage that gets on the oceans, that can get on the sidewalk, and pretty much anywhere that we just toss trash, and it ends up being runoff and ends up getting in the ocean. So if you participate in garbage cleanups, it allows you to clean up the garbage around so it doesn't get into the ocean and doesn't end up harming animals and our water source. And the last and best way that you can help is by spreading awareness. There's a video that I posted on my PowerPoint from a program, a couple of guys that created a group called SCH Road Trip. They basically go around and they tour and they go to different schools and they educate elementary to high school students about water pollution and what it is and how to prevent it. We only have one Earth, so treat her right. Thank you.